My father would always look at the ocean, at the horizon, and say, you are thinking, your mind should be as wide as the horizon."
Why did you leave the medical profession?
People thought I was a mad guy. He said, normally people like to climb up the ladder of success. Why do you want to come down? I feel any development without aesthetics is nonsense, it's cancerous. If you inhale political air, you have to exhale political art. Art has to be political. If you're not political, you cannot be an artist.
Hi folks, welcome to Inside Goa, where we are going to bust myths and we are going to correct stereotypes by bringing you voices from Goa. We have with us Subodh Kerkar, an artist, a sculptor, and the founding director of the Museum of Goa, which is an amazing space in Goa. It is independent, it is warm, it is scintillating, and it is open to all, not just artists and sculptors, but writers, lawyers, musicians, name it. Everyone who loves Goa, go to the Museum of Goa. You just have to. What I didn't know about you, Subodh, though, was that you were a doctor.
Yes.
And you left the medical profession and embraced art in the 1990s, right? I've got that fine.
Yes.
I mean, I'm going to ask you a question on that. But before that, I want to say something. So as you have said, I consider myself an ocean artist. The ocean is both inside and outside my works, my master and my muse. I celebrate the ocean as a creator of civilizations. So before asking you the obvious question, I want to ask you that don't you feel this pain and hurt inside when you see the ocean, the beaches getting ravaged by tourists and so-called outsiders?
Obviously, I mean, I have been walking on the beach from the age of 6 to the age of 16 with my father every day for 2 hours.
Amazing.
And those walks were basically my real education because I came from very small village schools. And so some of the schools also closed down during the academic year. And my father, his walks with him was my real education. And that developed a very close connection between me and my father and me and the ocean.
And what was that connection in the sense that was that walk always done at that time, or was your father as attracted to the ocean as you are?
We always lived on the seaside,
Okay.
near the sea, not
Yeah.
seaside as such, but near the sea. And we went for
And
a
what
walk
did you
there.
learn? What is the main thing
There
that you
were
learned?
many things, but one of the things my father would always look at the ocean, at the horizon, and say, you are thinking, your mind should be as wide as the horizon.
Right.
That was perhaps one of the most important lessons. Then the waves would break and the surf would run on the sand, wetting the sand. Most of the waves which broke wet the same sand which was wet before. But then the big wave came, broke, the surf hurried onto the sand,
How beautiful.
went past the wet sand and wet new sand. And my father told me, son, anything you do, in any creative activity, it is most important to wet new sand. I don't know whether I have wet new sand, but well, I'm still
But
trying.
it's amazing. What a beautiful analogy. Really, actually.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep you there, but I have to ask you that obvious question. Why did you leave the medical profession? You trained for it, you were a doctor, to embrace art. Was it because of Goa?
Well, I was a good student, and my father was a school teacher. And those days, the school teachers were paid very badly. And there was always a financial problem. And so we were staying in a chawl in Margao.
Right.
And so since I was a good student, so I was seventh in the board. And so I had no problem getting admission anywhere. So if I wanted to be a doctor, I could become a doctor, engineer, architect, whatever I wanted, because I was the seventh in the board. And so my problem was I wanted to be everybody.
Right.
At the age of 18, there is hardly, you're not very clear because I loved science, I loved arts, I wanted to be a prime minister, I wanted to be the artist,
Amazing.
I wanted to be an author.
Like the ocean.
Yeah, like the ocean. And so, well, I became a doctor, but I recovered fast. That's because, I did enjoy being a doctor, and that also set up the financial condition of my family in order. Because I started immediately a hospital. I became a doctor, started private practice. Within 6 months, I started a hospital. And then I did very, very well. So I was a very successful doctor. But after about 8 years of practicing medicine, I started feeling a little bit, routine, because treating cough, cold, typhoid, and malaria all my life. And then, in the meanwhile, suddenly there was a boom in tourism in Goa. And the British charter flights started landing here. And then almost 70% of my patients became British tourists, suffering from loose motions.
Okay.
So the idea of devoting my life to British loose motions was not very palatable. I thought India has taken enough shit from the British and I didn't want to take any more. So I gave up my medicine. And I thought I was an artist because my father was an artist, and I knew how to paint watercolors. I could do fairly good British classical watercolors because my father's teacher was S.L. Haldankar.
Right.
And so he learned from him and I learned from my father. So a little bit Haldankar style watercolors is what I used to do. And my father used to love them and people started buying them. I was a doctor for the Taj Hotel and they would allow me to show my work in the conference room every year and people started buying my work. I said, my God, I can make a living out of this too.
Yeah.
And then I gave up my medicine. People thought I was a mad guy.
I bet they did.
Yeah, because they said normally people like to climb up the ladder of success. Why do you want to come down? Because they felt that a doctor is much superior than an artist. But I don't believe in all that idea. I think the only purpose of life is to be happy. And if you do something which you love to do, you will be definitely happy. At least there's a possibility you'll be happy. If you do something which you don't like to do, you'll be definitely unhappy.
So true.
And I'm very glad that I gave up my medicine. I did not dislike it, but still I like this better. And here I am, and I'm a very happy man.
And so then you founded the Museum of Goa.
Yeah,
that's
that took
the
some
kind of,
time.
it took time, but I want to come there because that's how many of us got introduced to Goa. It's a very Goan space. You want to learn anything, you want to know anything, you have Goan food, you have Goan music, you actually nurture it. But yet you are building a community which is Goan and non-Goan. Was that your intention when you started it?
No,
What was it?
No, I had sold a house. I already built another house.
Yeah.
I was 55 years old and I had some 3-4 crores with me. And for my lifestyle, that money is perhaps enough money to live happily ever after. And so, but I decided I want to create a museum and a large one. I used all that money, which was the only saving I had,
Into that museum.
and created a museum. There was no business plan of any kind. I just wanted to create a museum. And one of the reasons I wanted to create the museum was in India, in a country of 1.4 billion people, not more than a few lakh people connect with contemporary art. Others have no idea what's happening in this area. And this is not fair because there's a kind of a cultural barrier. And I feel that everybody should get at least an opportunity to connect with contemporary art. Most people don't connect because of a simple reason that they don't have the opportunity.
Right.
Where will they see works of contemporary artists from India? In Delhi, there is a National Gallery of Modern Art, but all the good galleries are in 5-star spaces. And most people feel that this is only for the richy rich, it is not for us. And so I wanted to democratize art, take art to everybody, because I believe that connection with art has, there are many functions of art. It is not just decoration of a wall. So I wanted to connect the general public with art.
To stay on this topic for one more question is that now that you brought in this thing of art, having looked at your own art, it's so unconventional. It's not the kind of art that we see in the galleries of Delhi. It is so ocean-bound, it's so earth-bound, it's so amazing. You make everything come alive in a very real visual experience as well. Would you say, first you tell me a little bit about this and also answer the question as to how when we talk about these galleries and art from elsewhere, has it started coming in and trying to take away this essence of Goan art, as it were?
No, I think art in the world should not have any borders. there is no duality, there are no caste systems in art. So, well, there's nothing called Goan art or
Yes.
Delhi art. The art is art. Art is a
Right.
universal language of mankind.
Yes.
And so I don't believe in any kind of a caste system in art. But I believe that art should connect with everybody, because art also has one of the most important functions of art is to create a liberal outlook. You know, you won't say Bhimsen Joshi and Allah Rakha with a dagger going after each other in a riot.
And
They have gone beyond all
Beyond
that.
all
That's
that,
because
yes.
art has the function of liberating. And
the commercialization of art is
a
what?
commercialization of everything is happening,
Yeah.
but that is inevitable. But at the same time, I mean, art. I mean, I don't talk about art market. I'm not an expert in art market. I'm also not connected with any gallery as such. I'm connected. Some galleries sell my work, but I am not signed to any gallery.
Yes.
I'm a very independent artist. Art market is required. I mean, you need to sell art. Artists have to make a living. But at the same time, I sometimes see that there is a kind of a parallel graph of a good art and art market. In art market, you know, when you say some crores of rupees worth of painting is sold, I mean, this is sold by one collector to the other. The poor artist has nothing to do with it.
Right.
And the general public has nothing to do with it. It is like a share market.
Yeah.
So I am not an expert
Yeah.
in that, and I don't. I mean, I'm concentrating more on democratizing art rather than developing art markets. At the same time, I provide a lot of platforms, many to young artists. So I deal with basically young artists, provide them a platform, help them sell their work.
Yes, an amazing exhibition.
And there are lots of good artists. That's why I'm working with young artists. That's why I'm able to do museums.
So it's interesting, you know, that one does not sense any bit. You explained, of course, the universality of art, and one does not sort of detect any bitterness in the kind of projections that you make, whether it be of the ocean or whether it is the space that you've opened up for everyone. You know why I'm saying this? Like, you talk about the ocean, you find I heard so many young Goans say. Because it's been taken over by the tourists. So you hear them say, oh, I never go to the beach.
Yeah.
And they feel, you know, they're saying it with disdain, but I detect hurt.
Yeah.
But you go to the ocean, you collect thousands of plastic bottles as litter, and you make this fabulous mural, which you have.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the ocean, you know, people came to Goa basically because of the ocean. We had very tranquil, lovely beaches. And people started coming because this was so lovely. And also they started coming because, you know, in Goa, there was a certain kind of a liberal air. Because when you sip a beer sitting in a shack on a Goan beach, it is not just the beer you are sipping. You are also inhaling the liberal air of Goa. So people thought that, okay, now this the seaside is giving, I mean, good golden eggs. So why not cut the murgi? So that's precisely what has happened. A cancerous growth of hotels and restaurants. And so people keep coming. There are so many shacks blasting out music. I sometimes feel that the waves will stop breaking. Because they're disturbing the waves, the loud music, if you go to Baga, for example. So I'm very much disturbed by all this. But at the same time, you know, well, I can't do my installations on Goan beaches anymore.
Yeah.
I work with hundreds of people on the beach. So then I started going to Maharashtra, I started going to Karnataka. That's what I do. There are some Goan beaches still nice in South.
Yeah.
And hopefully they remain like that. Because South Goan beaches are still nice, and I worked.
Well, they said that about Morjim and Ashwim, and they're already getting destroyed. You know.
So there should be. I feel that there should be a proper tourism policy.
Yeah.
Tourism is existing everywhere. I was just 2 months ago. I was in Australia. Well, in Australia there's a lot of tourism, but there is always some aesthetics had gone into sort of doing the pathways along the ocean. I was very, very impressed, for example, by a sculpture by the sea, which happens in Bondi near Sydney. And here, there's almost about a 2 kilometers walk along the seaside. partly on the beach, partly on the hillside, and that walk blends with the nature. It is now you don't even see that there is a walk. So this aesthetics is very important. I feel any development without aesthetics is nonsense. It's cancerous. Aesthetics is, development should hold the finger of aesthetics and proceed.
Absolutely, absolutely. And in fact, in most coastal towns around the world, they have a policy of development. It's not just reckless and development of the kind that is ravaging actually Goa, right?
Yeah.
When did you feel that there was this Goa had started changing? Was it gradual, or was there any period that you can define?
No, it started.
Is it
It
with the
is
loose
gradual, but not
motions?
so gradual. I mean, I have seen beaches when I had a hospital right on the seaside in Kalangut.
Yes.
My hospital was only building, which was a little larger building on the seaside, which was belonging to a fisherman, and I had rented it. Now, I mean, when I clicked a picture of that road, I was just going through the palm trees to that hospital. I even boasted that I delivered babies to the music of the ocean. You know, it was right on the seaside.
beautiful.
Yeah, and so now, I mean, you can't even find the hospital.
Yeah.
There are sort of tiny lanes through the other buildings and hotels that you have to find the beach. Vasco da Gama,
Yeah.
opened up he came and he discovered India for the Portuguese, but actually the beaches were discovered for the world by the hippies. They found the beaches so beautiful,
True.
and that took Goa's beaches internationally.
Yes.
And then people started coming, but then there's cancerous growth because there's no policy. There should be a proper beach policy, tourism policy.
Yes. Instead of maybe turning Goans against non-Goans and non-Goans coming and exploiting, if you have proper policies, then those can be implemented and you can grow in the right way, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So, but when, let me ask you that you're a sculptor also. And do you prefer painting or sculpture?
No, art is no, again, I do everything. I do
Everything,
painting,
depending on
drawing,
your-
sculptures, installations, performances.
So, can culture, history, of which also you're a student, arts, can it sort of survive this aggressive development?
Yeah. See, basically all arts are surviving, irrespective of many things. Even in countries where there is so much of oppression and curtailing of freedom of speech, still art survives. To give you an example, I just went for the annual show of MS University Baroda, which is a very good art college. And so we saw that the show was excellent, in spite of the right wing not allowing them to even have one drawing in nude. A drawing in nude was, rejected, cannot be displayed. These are the kind of, crazy rules, because the right-wing governments and art, they don't mix. Art is a function of liberal thought. So art and right-wing fanaticism don't mix. If you're a fanatic, you cannot enjoy art.
Any kind of fundamentalist
Any kind of fanaticism.
Yeah.
No, fanaticism and arts don't mix.
They don't go together.
And again, I must tell you that art has to be political. If you're not political, you cannot be an artist.
Absolutely. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You hear a lot of young artists say, well, politics is not for me. And
No.
you don't think that works?
No, that doesn't work, because, what is art? Art is an expression of time. It's a whisper of time. Artists should be sensors, receptors, and transmitters of ideas in a society. If there's a war happening outside your window, you don't sit in your studio and paint a flower. So you have to respond to that war. Absolutely. So the artists have to respond to what is happening politically. If you inhale political air, you have to exhale political art.
Amazing.
Whether it is painting, sculpture, or an essay, or a song. So you have to be political. If you're not political, I don't consider you an artist at all.
And do you feel that is still continuing in the younger generation? And
There are definitely quite a few artists who are bold enough to speak against and speak their mind. Basically, one has to speak your mind.
You have to be honest to the crowd.
You have to. We have the famous statement that we have to speak truth to the power. So the power becomes more truthful.
Yes, absolutely. So when you were growing up, what is the memory that you have of Goa which has stayed with you apart from the ocean? Ocean, yes, we've established.
Well, the memories of Goa, many things. I remember my earliest memory, I was very attached to my father. So my earliest memory is the sound of the rain on the roof, on the tiles. And it was chilly, cold, and me in the bed cuddling my father. And I remember the smell of his sweat. I remember the smell of, fried fish, and I remember the smell of the fish curry, because fish curry is very interesting. It has the flavor, aroma of the chili which you are using. So all chilies don't have the same aroma. And in Goa, we have so many different varieties of chilies. And I remember the chilies which my mother used when I was a little, but that had a very special flavor. So that flavor, that aroma is still in my mind. I remember the smell of dried fish being roasted. And the heavy, in the rains, when the smoke rises from I was a village boy. So the smoke rises from the roofs. Somebody's cooking with a chula. And it's a heavy smoke, and there is a smell of dried mackerel. And then the fields, walking through the fields, walking on the hillside with my father. I used to sit under a banyan tree and read to my father. I came from a Marathi medium school until 8th standard. But my father, he had also a master's degree in literature. He had studied in Wilson College in Mumbai and Ferguson College in Pune. And my father, he wrote a book to teach me English. It was called Subodh Lekhan. So, and I would sit and he would lie down on the armchair under the banyan tree. And I would read to him Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn and Count of Monte Cristo. And so, when in 9th and 10th standard, I went to English medium school. Still, I topped. That's because my father had already prepared me for it. He taught me English.
What an amazing man,
So,
right?
spending time with my father, that was very, very important.
It's, you talked about the village, right? And you talked about growing up in a village. A lot of the villages have changed. So tell us a little bit more of the village as when you were growing up and the difference in the village today of Goa.
Yeah, I would say a lot of people have bought old Goan houses. It's not a Portuguese house; it's a Goan house.
Goan house,
with a
absolutely. I know they say
language
Portuguese.
developed here, and so a lot of people have bought that. So a lot of rich from other parts of the country are staying in these villages.
Yes.
But I would not say that the village has changed much.
Okay.
Because, for example, when I go for walks in Aldona or Shivulim, and I see early morning old man or old woman watering the garden, I pass a compliment. What a lovely garden you have kept. And then ask me, what is your name? Then I say, okay, I'm Subodh Kerkar. They have heard of me, most of them. They say, come, have a cup of tea. So I go in there and have a cup of tea with them, and then they tell me all the family history. That itself could be a wonderful book. They will tell about a grandfather, grandmother, and they say, come again, maybe why don't you come for some lunch? So this kind of atmosphere, this kind of hospitality still very much remains in the village. I think just because of, some aspects have changed. I think the basic life in Goa, the values, they have remained.
But Goan society is rather conservative. Do you think that this influx of outsiders has made it more conservative by any chance?
What has happened because of influx of outsiders is an independent subject. In the sense, there are many things which
Yes,
have
of
happened,
course.
and the most important thing which has happened is basically the property prices have gone up so much that the local people cannot afford a house anymore.
Exactly.
So that is one of the most important aspect of basically people from somewhere coming, rich people, and saying, oh, the 3 crore mein kharida, or somebody else, 4 crore mein, 5 crore mein kharida. So the local people cannot afford it anymore. So this is one of the most important thing which has happened. Otherwise, I don't believe in pure cultures. There is nothing called pure culture anywhere in the world. People who live in Goa, they have also come from somewhere, and things will keep coming. Culture is not something which you put in a pickle in a jar. Culture is an active thing, keeps changing, keeps transforming. What my father's life and my life were completely different. and my grandchildren will be completely different. So, I mean, this keeps changing. So, I mean, I would not say that we have to stop people from coming here. This will never happen.
Do you think this feeling of art, the fact that you moved into art, of course, your father's influence, but was it also because of Goa? Do you think that you've been traveling, you've gone to other places? Do you think other places would have sort of, what should I say, inspired the artist in you to actually emerge?
Yeah, if it was not the ocean, perhaps the mountains would have inspired. So I'm never, I mean, I paint everywhere. I paint on the seaside. I create work in the travel. I paint in the flights. I go to any country. I always carry my equipment. So, well, I have no problems with other cultures sort of inspiring me.
So now your son is also an artist.
Yes.
And you have a daughter who's helping you with the Museum of
Yes.
Goa.
Yes.
What will their memories be of Goa?
Oh, well, I mean, we still have interesting memories because my children were born in Kalangut. And at those times, the beaches were still nice.
Okay.
So basically, you didn't see plastic on the beach. You collected shells on the beach. I mean, I don't remember during those days that the fishermen caught plastic. No, there was no plastic. And I did a very interesting project. I started collecting things I found on the beach and making a package of it every year. And initially, there were just shells. Then there were these pile chappals. Then slowly you started seeing syringes. Then you started selling wrappers of Tetra packs of biscuits and other things. And then plastic water bottles. So basically, if you want to do a market survey, you don't have to go anywhere. You just go to broken glass. So basically, what you see on the beach, what you collect from the beach is actually, there has a lot of stories. It also a market analysis. Because you know what is selling.
Absolutely.
I have seen people making the beer bottles as a pillow and lying down early morning. So you go for an early morning walk on the beach and people are sleeping with beer bottles as a pillow. So, well, there are lots of, but at the same time, the ocean forgives.
For how long?
Forgives in the sense ocean will tell you, when please do it, one has to, education is the only answer to all this. Because I have seen teachers throwing plastic around. So you go to the beach in the morning, you see people have eaten and the plates are already there. So now this can only change when there is education right from childhood, right from kindergarten. That is the only way to change. Otherwise, the country is full of litter. That Swachh Bharat Abhiyan is not going to change anything unless you get the litter from inside out.
True.
There's a lot of litter inside. And that litter can only go through proper education.
So true.
There's a poem I recently read. I think it's by Gibran. It says, "The sea refuses no river."
Right. Is that the sea absorbs beauty, but does it absorb violence also?
Yeah, sea has many aspects. It's violent, it is life-giving and life-taking. Life originated in the ocean. But civilizations are born on the banks of the ocean. So we all carry a little bit of ocean inside us because the percentage of sodium, potassium and calcium in the seawater and in our blood is very similar. So we all carry little sea inside us.
Lovely. I would end with that, but I have a last question for you. So when the sea takes us all back, what do you think Goa should or will remember about itself?
Goa should remember so much of, beautiful nature, the fields, the hills, the mangoes and the jackfruits, and lots of interesting poets. We have Manohar Sardesai, we have Bakibab Borkar, and their poem. When the flight used to come to Dabolim airport, even I'm 66 years old, but still I like to sit at the window and look down. And when I look down at Ponda, I remember the poems of Bakibab Borkar and all the poets who wrote poetry there. And so I think Goa is still, it's not just a state, it's a state of mind.
It sure is.
Yeah, and I think we all love Goa. There are many aspects of it. Tourism and all this overcrowding and whatever is happening is bad, but there are still wonderful things which you remember.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much for
Pleasure,
being here.
pleasure.